Hello again everybody, and welcome back to the second episode of Poor Mythica. Now, in this episode, as you can already see, we are going to be working on the main structure of the paths around the park, and we're going to be building our first coaster. Now, I would just like to say that that jump there was actually because I spent a good hour and a half placing all of them fences down, and it was not a fun thing to do. So I thought it probably wasn't fun to watch either, so I did just cut all of that out. I also went through multiple iterations of this elevation change. I was going to originally put a waterfall there, but I then couldn't get the waterfall pieces to work how I wanted them to, and I just thought it looked a bit weird. Similarly with the coaster went through at least 5 different iterations of what it was going to be. It was all going to be the same model, but I went through at least 5 different layouts, which again I've cut all of them out apart from the final one, because I thought it would be very, very boring to watch me build and delete 4 different coasters. So what I'm doing here is I decided that we needed a main centerpiece for the park. So as you walk in, you want to see something big. And I decided to go with a Poseidon statue because it's the only mythological statue in the game. Now I just want to talk about the scaling tool. It is so incredibly helpful. Originally this was way too big. Like, it was not going to fit on there, so I had to scale it down a bit, and that is just so helpful. Now, I just used the normal fencing again, put some shrubbery on there, and I actually decided that to cover like the corners of the fencing that were just not connected, thought I'd dig some tridents into the ground, and I then realised that I'd forgotten to add lights. So yeah, I went with these nice like torches, and I just placed them everywhere that I thought was suitable, trying to be vaguely symmetrical. I then went around the whole paths and placed loads of torches and benches and bins on all of the paths. And for the seating areas for this, I didn't want to go with anything too ordered. I wanted to go with something a bit more random, so I just started randomly placing benches and bins around, and then obviously for the lake I added benches in like all of the places that you typically see benches on viewing places for the lake. And yeah, this is it. As you're seeing now, this was my final design and layout for our B&M dive coaster, which hasn't got a name yet. I've got a couple in mind, but once again, feel free to comment any if you have any ideas. Be very helpful. And I just want to say, the smoothing tool in this game is incredible. It doesn't over smooth or under smooth, and it smooths it so incredibly quickly. I mean, the coaster builder on its own is already incredibly smooth, but once you smooth it, it's just incredible. I really do like this, and the fact that this used to be a mod and the devs were like, let's put this in the actual game, is just amazing. As you can see here, obviously it goes underground. We can't have that. That doesn't work. So we had to dig a hole, and I wanted it to go under the lake, and that that was quite faffy with the terrain tool, but it did end up working out. And then I was trying to figure out how to cover the rough terrain edges, and I found these ring things that I could just bury into the ground. I made them golden and shiny, so I thought that was quite cool, and once again, I wouldn't have been able to do that without the scaling tool, so really coming in handy. And then I tried to cover up the terrain on the inside of the hole, and that was not going to happen. So I just decided that with enough mist, you probably weren't going to see it anyway. With my graphics card, which has not got RTX, it's quite noticeable that you can still see the terrain. And the fact that I don't have RTX and my graphics card is very outdated. Also, around this point, the game was starting to drop in performance. I was running less FPS, I was getting a lot of latency, and this is definitely just because of my PC, so please, if you're looking at buying the game, don't dismiss it just because I get bad performance, because my PC, you know, I wasn't expecting it to handle it well, so I'm surprised it handled it at all, to be honest. I just decided to cover up all of the terrain with some nice rocks and bushery. I thought these nice jagged rocks would, you know, fit nicely, seeing as a dive coaster, and you sort of, that feeling you get when you probably think you're going to hit your head on something, especially when it's spiky. I feel like that would just be another level, so yeah. I decided to add some greenery again, similar to the stuff in the entrance, in fact exactly the same to the stuff in the entrance. I reduced the size of this island a bit because I thought it was way too big. Covered the floor again in our cabbage bushes. I don't know why I chose cabbage bushes. And decided that it would be nice to add some lore to the ride, I guess. Not really lore, but just some old, worn-out statues, broken statues, and parts of temples that had been left from a wreckage. That's that for today's episode. I'll leave you some cinematics. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.